In this video, I'm going to explain what the number one thing that the vast majority, so like 95% of adult tennis players should be focusing on within their practices. Hopefully you find the video helpful. If you do, it'd be great if you give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel before, always much appreciated if you could do that as well. So the first thing that we need to acknowledge is that tennis is hard. There are multiple different techniques that you need to be able to do, and there are multiple different variations of those techniques, and each of those techniques have a number of different elements that all need to be done well at the right time for you to hit good quality shots and to play well in points and matches. And that makes tennis very difficult because potentially there might be 10 different things that you need to improve right now in order to become a better player. But unfortunately, we can't focus on improving 10 things all in one go. We only have a certain amount of attentional awareness, so we need to focus on the right thing. And the difficulty here is there's millions of YouTube videos that all talk about really advanced techniques and what the pros do, and that might be appropriate for you, but for the vast majority of people watching YouTube videos learning how to get better at tennis, those advanced tips aren't necessarily appropriate. There is something or a couple of things that most players really need to focus on, and not enough players are focusing on it. And this is something that I've gone through recently myself. I'm naturally a right-handed player, got to a pretty good level with my right hand, but then unfortunately injured myself in a mountain bike crash, and I've had to relearn to play left-handed. And it's exhausting and it's frustrating, but it's such a good learning experience because it really teaches you what it's like to learn as an adult. Like, I've played my whole life, I coached for half my life, I understand how tennis works, but when you've got to try and do it again in your own body with your other hand, you find out how tough it is. And the hardest thing for me, and what you see from watching so many other players, the hardest thing is setting up in the right position for your shots. If you don't set up in the right position for your shots, you're not there, you're ready, you're balanced in time, ready to drive through your back or outside leg, everything else after that just doesn't work in the way that it should. So the key thing is getting to the ball, getting set up in the right position, but in order for you to do that, the thing that you need to focus on is reading the flight of the ball. The number one thing that most players should be focusing on is trying to time landing their split step just after the moment of contact when their opponent's hitting the ball, or if you don't have the leg strength and conditioning, maybe you're a little bit older, maybe you're a little bit out of shape, and it's not a safety, it's not very safe for you to do a split step every time. If that's the case, then you're just waiting in your ready position, focusing on the moment of contact, but you're trying to read the flight of the ball as quickly as you can. So as it comes off their strings, where is it going? Is it going to my left side, my right side, so forehand or forehand? Having two forehands is tough. No, is it going to my forehand? Is it going to my backhand? Is the ball high? Is it low? So is it more likely to go short? Is it more likely to go deep? Have they done this? Like, are they going to slice it? How's it going to react off the court? Have they gone up the back of the ball? Is it topspin? How's that going to react off the court? And what does that mean from me? With the flight of the ball, where do I need to move to? Do I need to move forwards? Do I need to move back? How far away from the ball do I need to move? And that's the number one thing that players should be focusing on, because unless you get set up in the right position, you watch the pros, they've got amazing footwork. As soon as their opponent makes contact, they're reacting, they're moving into the right place. That's what lets them do the other stuff. They don't just come along and go, right, I'm going to use a next-gen forehand and backhand. It's built on the foundations of ball recognition and setting up in the right position. So you need to record yourself playing, watch yourself back, and see what you're doing. Are you reacting quickly enough? And if you're not, you need to focus on reading the flight of the ball as an absolute priority. But there is one problem. The problem is that reading the flight of the ball is really difficult. In order to be able to do that, your visual system has to function at a really high level. And the reality is most adult tennis players' visual systems don't function at a level that's going to allow them to read the ball quickly enough. People aren't intentionally not preparing until the ball is bouncing on their side of the court. Everyone knows that you need to prepare early. The problem is that people can't do it because they can't read where the ball is going. And again, this is something that I've experienced myself. I grew up playing tennis, I became a tennis coach, but I still used to get way too close to the ball, and I used to hit the ball late, which are both basically the same issue. I wasn't good at judging distance and depth because it turned out I had specific deficits within my visual system that I had absolutely no clue about until I started learning about brain-based training to rehab from a concussion that I sustained. But as I rehabbed from the concussion using different types of vision training, my tennis suddenly got a whole lot better at the age of 35, because now for the first time in my life, I was able to read the flight of the ball, I could set up the right distance for the ball, and I had better timing. And that's why I now teach tennis players like you how to use brain-based training to improve things like vision, so that you can read the flight of the ball and so that you can play higher level tennis. And if you'd like to learn how to do that, I'm holding a free workshop. This is a 5-day neuro tennis challenge. It's a live event, it's completely free, and I'm going to show you how to use brain-based training to improve your vision and to become more skillful. There'll be a link to it down in the description. So if you would like to join me for 5 days to learn how to use brain-based training, click that link and head on over to the page and then register there. Okay, hopefully what I've explained in this video makes sense. Record yourself playing, watch it back. Are you preparing early enough? Are you setting up in the right positions? If you're not, you've got to focus on reading the flight of the ball. You have to do the deliberate practice. So yes, you need to improve your visual skills as well. That's part of it. But then you have to do the on-court practice, making it a priority within your on-court work.